It's an incredibly interesting period. A lot of people think it's possibly the most dramatic period of sort of post-war political British history, from 74 through to 79, which is what the play concentrates on.
Almost every political play concentrates on well-known leaders, the people, the national figures. This is completely different. It concentrates on the whips.
Absolutely. The well-known leaders are just the supporting, the warm-ups.
Famously, they've got their sinister black books of things that people have done wrong and all the rest of it, but they also cajole and they sort of support people. And this is the time when Labour are bringing people who are either very ill or dying into the House of Commons so they can vote, so Labour can stay in power.
Absolutely, because there's this gentleman's agreement, which is known as pairing, as you know, which I didn't realise was exactly that, a gentleman's agreement. It's not by law. Basically, particularly Labour and my character had to bring a very well-known character called Doc Broughton down from the north.
Yeah,
who was
dying.
Who was dying of emphysema. Yeah, and dragged him down for these various votes, and then we see towards the end of the play, which kind of effectively changed the course of British, political history.
There is an extraordinary moment between you and your opposite number, Bernard Wetherell, who went on to become Speaker of the House of Commons.
Jack, my mate Jack.
Your mate Jack.
Yeah.
And your character, Walter Harrison, who we should say is still alive.
94 years of age.
I don't know if
still
you'd
going
be able
strong.
to come down and watch it, but it would be...
it'd be great. I think he might be a little too old, but maybe we'll take it up to him sometime.
The Callaghan government, in the end, fell because your character, Walter Harrison, wouldn't accept a kind of sacrifice that Jack Wetherell was going to make.
Yeah.
It's a very, we won't go to the details, we'll leave the audience to find out.
Absolutely, but what again is fascinating within the play is the relationship between Jack and Walter, completely opposite sides of the spectrum, a working man, an electrician by trade in the RAF during the war, and Jack was from Taylor's family, Savile Row.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't be more diametrically opposed. These guys were real tough men and had been there and seen it.
Of course, a lot of people, there's a certain DCI involved in it. There's a certain amount of male bonding.
There is, I know. I'm playing a northern
bonding.
Yorkshire brute as opposed to a northern Lancashire brute, but I must be the only typecast southerner as a northerner in the business. But hey, it's a great part and it's a wonderful character to play.
And as I said, a lot of people here in this play who are historic figures, many of them still alive. A lot of MPs, I guess, will be coming along. Neil Kinnock was in the audience when I saw it. I heard his laugh. He had an interesting relationship with Walter, I think. We had Dr. David Owen in the other night, and we had the real Ann Taylor. The real Ann Taylor. Ann Taylor, we should explain, then a young female whip in this very macho male whip's office.
Yeah.
Underneath the warfare going on, it seems to me this play is also quite a profound attack on British parliamentary traditions. Two sides against each other, sword against sword kind of thing. And there's a sort of dream of a better way of doing politics which surfaces occasionally. Why can't we be more consensual? Why does it have to be like this?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think... I think we're one of the few democracies, or just by the layout of our parliament, that is in a rectangular shape, for instance, as opposed to in the round, which I didn't realise. I think it's only one of two in the world.
Well, coming back to what we were talking about a little earlier, this is about people who are often seen as the villains, the ones who make the compromises and the deals and the ones who break the fingers and push people through the voting lobbies. But there seems to be an underlying theme there that grown-up politics is about compromise and deal-making, not about the airy words of the leaders on television.
I think you're right, yeah, absolutely. Whether it's possible to actually compromise and make those deals, as we're seeing with the current coalition, is open to scrutiny. Whether it's possible within it should be within a demographic and a democracy, but whether egos and whatever allow for that.
It does feel not only very 1970s in the way people dress and look and talk and all of that, but it is the real House of Commons. You feel you're almost in the real House of Commons. Did you have to do much rehearsing? Did you go over there and watch them at work?
Yes, I was very fortunate to meet at a do a while ago, about a year ago, at the Houses of Parliament, 2 MPs, Andrew Bingham and Simon Hart, who were very helpful to me and showed me round and introduced me to the Deputy Chief Whip. And I also met the Prime Minister, met David Cameron after Prime Minister's Question Time, and had a chat with him and was able to go to Downing Street and have a look around there. So it was great, it was fascinating, and it's an extraordinary building because it is very public school.
The geography matters a lot though, doesn't it? Because you've got the whip's offices, which are in this play the absolute kernel of power.
Yeah.
That's where the whole thing is being driven
and they're just
from.
off the lobby as you go into
Yeah.
the main chamber
Yes.
within the real houses, of course.
There are some extraordinary moments where, for instance, the young female whip, Anne Taylor,
Yeah.
is told to go through all the toilets and peer underneath the doors,
Flushing, yes.
flushing them to try and work out who's hiding behind the door.
Yeah. Another thing that actually happened, or happens, I don't know whether it probably doesn't now, but it certainly did then.
These were more dramatic days, but as I say, there are echoes.
Well, as I say, it's, you know, it was such a hugely dramatic period, and a lot of people say that Callaghan became complacent by not calling the general election, and that was his sort of downfall in many respects. He just hung on that bit too long and didn't call the election, which then preceded what we see in the play and what happened.
Meanwhile, day by day, your character and the rest of them are trying to hang on for the next few hours, for the next day, and becoming utterly exhausted. And of course, a lot of politicians died at this time because they were shattered.
Yeah, a huge amount of stress and the nerves, and I think something like the Labour Party lost over 17 MPs in that period. Through stress.
It's a play that Ed Miliband and many other people, I'm sure, need to go and see.
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe they should and they shouldn't. They might get too stressed by saying. But, you know, there aren't any plebs in this one. That's all I can say.
No plebs. You're a pleb in this.
Well, we're trying to work out whether we should put the word pleb in, but maybe it's too modern.
Well, it's great fun. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Andrew. Great.